I woke to the sound of a dry click, like a rusty key turning in a lock. I slowly opened my eyes, feeling a weight on my shoulders, as if it had always been there, but I had never noticed. The light was dim, a pale glow filtered through frosted glass. I didn't know where I was, but the place felt strangely familiar. A laboratory, it seemed, but empty. Only machines. The smell of metal and disinfectant hung in the air, and the distant hum of monitors intensified my claustrophobia. The walls were bare, cold, devoid of any sign of life or decoration. A door to the right, the only exit, and, in the distance, a digital panel slowly blinking. On it, a sequence of numbers repeated without apparent meaning, but charged with a profound unease. Something pulled me towards the panel. The closer I got, the more the code transformed, gaining logic, as if shaped by my intentions. I knew this wasn't normal. It was as if reality distorted before my eyes, but I seemed the only one capable of controlling it. The panel, now clearer, displayed complex commands, instructions I didn't understand, but felt as my own, as if I had always known them, etched into my essence. I looked at the watch on my wrist. Time fluctuated, accelerating and decelerating. What was happening? My body felt erratic. My hands trembled, but not with fear. Each movement seemed to bend reality, forcing it to reorganize itself. In the back of the room, I noticed a small door, almost hidden in the gloom. I decided to approach. Each step was a challenge. As I turned the handle, a snap echoed through the room. The door opened. The corridor was empty, but something was wrong, as if an invisible veil clouded my perception. As I moved forward, the discomfort increased. I didn't know what awaited me, but I couldn't turn back. A staircase descended into the unknown. With each step, the feeling of being watched grew, an indefinable presence in the air. The silence was oppressive, as if time had frozen, but something within me stirred, a connection to this place, as if I were meant to be there. At the bottom of the stairs, I found a vast room, a concrete cavern with exposed cables. In the center, a colossal machine, gears turning relentlessly. It seemed ripped from a science fiction nightmare, a tangle of impossible tubes and circuits. The device was active, but its purpose obscure. I knew it manipulated space, altered reality. Yet, something drew me to it. The feeling of being watched intensified. I cautiously touched the cold metal surface. A blinding flash erupted. The world around me disintegrated. Walls crumbled into fragments, pieces of memories floating in the void. I fell into an endless abyss, but no scream escaped. My voice had been silenced, as if sound were an illusion. Scenes from my life flickered, joy, sorrow, all distorted by an unseen force. In the midst of the chaos, a figure emerged, indistinct, real, an abstraction beyond comprehension. I knew it was the machine. Not an object, but an entity, a consciousness beyond my grasp. And yet, it was within me. A connection, a symbiosis I couldn't explain, but couldn't deny. Upon regaining consciousness, I was back in the initial room. But everything had changed. The walls seemed closer, the air denser, as if reality had been compressed. The devices were older, worn, and the panel blinked again. The numerical sequence now made sense. A control code, a key between worlds. Each touch altered the environment. In the background, I felt I could recreate everything. I was the master of this reality. But what would I do with this power? My hands trembled, hovering over the panel, hesitant, before pressing any key. I felt the machine within me, the connection pulsing in my bones, an inescapable presence. It wasn't an ordinary ability. It was something deeper. It was a transformation. I had touched the essence of reality, and now it flowed through me. But at the same time, fear grew. What did it mean to alter reality? What would happen to everything around me, to the people I knew? I had no answers. The worst part was that as memories disintegrated, I no longer knew what was real. Each fragment of the past that surfaced in my mind was distorted, as if it had never happened the way I remembered. An idea struck me. What if the machine had already rewritten my own history? What if none of what I remembered was true? But I needed to find out. I couldn't just stand still. The choices were clear and bleak. Give up, leave the machine untouched and move on, or continue, forcing it to reveal its nature. Each decision felt monumental, but something within me whispered that there was no turning back. I was already beyond what I considered real. The panel's keys beckoned, one after another, each touch creating new code, shaping reality. Then, a strange sensation overwhelmed me, a fleeting vision superimposed on the space. I saw myself in another life, another place, but still me. A future version, with vacant eyes, as if the device had consumed me entirely. I saw my death, my destruction. But strangely, I felt no fear, only a quiet acceptance. With a sigh, I touched the key. The world around me began to unravel, but differently. It wasn't chaos, it was a controlled dismantling. As if the pieces of reality were removed and replaced with something new, indescribable. However, something was profoundly wrong in this new world. Everything seemed soulless, as if the very idea of life had been erased. The air was empty, without smell or texture, and even the light seemed artificial, like a projection. I was in a place that belonged nowhere. There was no one there, but something was. Something was watching me. The formless figure reappeared, closer. Its silhouette floated, without defined contours. Its presence was overwhelming, and deep down, I knew it was the machine itself. I didn't know if I was being tested or if there was a greater purpose. I only knew I wasn't alone. Yet, an immense emptiness gnawed at me, as if part of my essence had been ripped away. "Do you understand what you have done?" echoed in my mind, not as a human voice, but a direct communication without words. "There is no return." I didn't know if it was the machine or myself, but the message was clear. I had crossed a boundary. There was no more before. Reality fragmented further. Not just space, but everything I knew was dissolving. It wasn't distortion. The fabric of existence was tearing. The ground beneath my feet shattered into floating pieces. The walls became transparent, revealing the infinite void. But something in me craved more. Something propelled me to continue exploring the limits of the possible. I had touched the essence of reality, and it was within my reach. And the machine awaited. Somewhere beyond time, it awaited my next action. Fear and excitement mingled. I knew I couldn't stop. The only remaining question was, what to do now, with the power to control everything? I knew my choice would change not only the world, but me. Was I willing to pay the price to discover how far the machine would take me? It was high, but in my mind, it was already paid. There was no return. I was the machine, and it was me. Only the abyss remained to explore, to understand the meaning of existing in a world I could mold to my will. The sounds around me began to fade, the vibrations of what I understood as the real world slowly fading away. Everything became a blank canvas before me, and I was about to paint it anew. The machine, the presence that now intertwined with my essence, was no longer a mere object of study. It became part of my perception, my thoughts, my deepest desires. Every movement of mine reverberated through the layers of reality, altering what had previously seemed immutable. But as I delved deeper into this new consciousness, a wave of despair consumed me. The power I possessed no longer seemed controllable. The machine wasn't just a tool, it was change itself. It wasn't limited to reshaping the physical, it distorted the laws of existence. I began to realize that in trying to mold reality, my own essence was dissolving. My body, once solid, took on traits that didn't belong to it. My hands became ethereal, my fingers stretching into strange shapes, as if something beyond my comprehension was rewriting my flesh. A trapped scream rose in my throat, but as I opened my mouth, silence. Something silenced my voice or stole my ability to express myself. I was transforming, without knowing if it was for better or worse. There was no pain, only a profound discomfort, as if I were dissolving, losing my humanity. Looking at the device's reflection, something strange happened. The figure in the mirror wasn't mine, but it felt familiar. A distorted version of me, a shadow of what I could be. The machine wasn't just observing me, It consumed everything I was. Its presence grew, and I no longer knew where it ended and I began. Suddenly, visions flooded my mind. My memories, every moment of the past, reorganized themselves. I saw my childhood, but not as I remembered it. Blurred faces, meaningless events, as if corrupted by the machine. I wanted to scream, resist, but what remained of the memories disintegrated, replaced by disconnected fragments. I realized that my identity was merely a fractured reflection of what the machine desired. I couldn't stop. An uncontrollable impulse drove me on, altering, experimenting. What little remained of me faded, and the void expanded. The machine didn't refine me, nor give me purpose. It destroyed me into something deeper. I began to doubt everything. Was my entire life an illusion created by it? The idea gnawed at me. At some point, the world around me stopped. The machine, previously unstoppable, now seemed to wait. It was then that I felt another presence. Not the machine, but something ancestral, a primordial force, an ancient shadow that traversed the universe. My thoughts became jumbled. An incomprehensible pressure crushed me. The laws of physics, time, reason, everything crumbled. It was no longer about changing reality, but something greater. I touched the untouchable, and now everything collapsed. The machine gave me the power to control everything, but unleashed the uncontrollable. The void devoured everything. My deformed hands tried to grasp the remnants of my consciousness, but they were weak. I no longer knew what was real, what was me, what was the machine. I crossed an irreversible boundary. The universe collapsed, but there was a certain freedom. I ceased to be who I was to become something beyond. The last thought before the end was a question. Was this the end of reality or the beginning of something new?